The last time I actually talked to you guys was actually at WonderCon. I don't know, that was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Anaheim. And you know what was really funny was I think Ty West was actually with you guys. And now after I watched the movie, I was like, man, you guys must not like him or something.
No, we like Ty. Ty actually was also in a film that Adam did with Joe called Autoerotic. And he was just like, it was all improvised.
Yeah. Well, that's how we knew that we would work well with Ty. Is like it was really just one scene in that film, and we both knew Ty for years, but he was just really funny improvising that scene, and and I think it's actually a sign of affection if you kill another horror filmmaker in a horror movie, to some degree though. But I mean, like for me, like casting him though was kind of an important decision because Simon had written that scene as this guy was this kind of like pretentious director, and to me it just didn't make any sense, the idea of like trying to get an actor to play a director. I thought, why don't I just get, I mean, we already have so many directors in the movie anyways. It'd be weird if like the one part that is a director, wasn't played by a director, because technically, like there's Leigh Fessenden, Joe Swanberg, Amy Simons, Ty West, and Calvin Reed are 5 directors in this film.
Yeah, why did you guys have so many directors as parts in the film? Are you guys like all friends? I noticed there's like a link to VHS.
Well, that's kind of like a Mumblecore thing, actually. Like because these low budget Mumblecore movies, they're all like kind of this incestuous system where because they're so low budget, you don't hire SAG actors, and so the next best thing is to try to find people who have like a like mind and know kind of not that overact, and so a lot of times that becomes like just getting other directors in there to act for you.
Yeah. I mean, and then there was a certain point, like halfway through casting Your Next, where we realized that was happening, and then it was like, well, we have to keep going with this. So that's kind of how Larry Fessenden and Calvin Reeder ended up in like the slightly smaller roles. But I mean, it's I felt like Adam and I were also trying to transition from kind of the early stuff we'd done, which was very small. And very Mumblecore, and this was our first attempt to try to make something on a larger scale that would appeal to mass audiences, as opposed to say like A Horrible Way to Die or even VHS, which are made kind of for like the VHS films are made for very like hardcore horror fans. Yeah. But Your Next, we wanted to be able to appeal to much more casual, just people that are going to movies to have a good time. And I felt like we were kind of trying to make a bit of a statement by putting all these kind of people that that mainstream audiences might not know, but the core audiences would recognize.
Yeah, and I think we addressed that like actually literally head on with the scene with Ty West and Joe Swanberg talking about commercial filmmaking and
versus artistic.
Exactly,
and they're both wrong.
Yeah,
because I think ultimately Adam and I just kind of want to make what we want to make, and it just so happens that our sensibilities align and are somewhere between. But that's it. We don't want to make like art films that are seen by the same 500 people.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to make big budget garbage that is insulting to every viewer's intelligence. We want to be right in between insulting and pretentious.
Yeah.
Ideally both.
And you'll notice that the two people making these arguments both get arrows in them immediately after the argument.
Well, and it's Joe Swanberg and Ty West and Amy Simons, and it's just if you're interested in that kind of subtext, it's available for you to enjoy, and if you're not, hopefully you enjoy the scene on its own merits.
Exactly.
So eventually, are they going to put you in their movies to be killed off?
Joe already has.
Yeah, actually, me and Simon actually starred in this movie that's playing at Fantasia next week called 24 Exposures, where Simon plays a police officer, a police detective, and I play a fetish photographer.
Yeah, I was going through a kind of bad period in my life, and Joe brought us out to Atlanta, and he's like, Simon, improvise, and I was just like so depressed that all I did was just like kind of sit there, and he's like, all right, moving on. So
luckily, I get to play myself though.
But Joe's cast us kind of in a couple things, right? But Adams definitely has a great role in Autoerotic. But I think that was a segment that you directed. But yeah, I think the fun will continue until we're eventually making movies where we have to join SAG or something.
Oh, okay. Now let's talk about those death scenes. I don't know about you guys, but you guys have something against people's heads.
Well, a headshot said, cinema's kind of funny because you see someone get shot in the shoulder like in Furious 6, and then the next scene literally Vin Diesel is removing the bullet from his arm and then literally putting on a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, a headshot definitely sends the message of this person's dead. like even if it's like something kind of ridiculous, like the end of the kitchen scene at the end of your next, you know, it sends a message of like this person has been like thoroughly destroyed, and that's I think what we wanted to get across.
But that will destroy the concept of sequels, though.
Not in all the cases, you know. There's at least one person who gets brutalized head trauma that could come back for the sequel.
Yeah, and that's
not to give any spoilers.
Yeah, not to give any spoilers away, but yeah, I mean, you know, like yeah, there's possibilities there still.
Now there's those masks. Could you explain about the significance of the mask? And I don't think a lot of people may actually understand the meaning behind the masks.
Yeah, I mean that was actually one of the early challenges in kind of writing this film. You know, after Adam and I had initially talked about the concept of what he wanted to make and you know how we wanted to do a kind of contained horror film, was, you know, we knew we wanted the killers to be masked because that's scary, and we knew we wanted it to look like amazing and iconic. But it was also like, how do we do something that hasn't been done before? And then also I was very, personally very conscious about trying to not fall into the same pitfall of a lot of films where like the killers have very stylized masks. We're big fans of the film The Strangers, but like, it seems to me that if the killers in that film are like getting so much artistic satisfaction from creating these amazing masks, like I don't understand why they're killing people at night. It seems like their lives are fulfilled by like making these amazing masks that are really creepy. It's kind of like, why are you murdering people? Your artistic expression is like clearly being realized in some other way. You should just like open, you know, a boutique somewhere. And start selling these masks for like $500 each. So anyway, we wanted masks that were like looked cool, but were also real to our characters who weren't, you know, art design students. And then also, you know, I'm really into like the first film, the first Wicker Man and stuff. So at a certain point, I was like, oh, they should just have these cheap kind of plastic animal masks, but they should have like painted them, you know, to make them blend in a little more with the darkness. And then from that point, you know, there is an overall theme to your next of people not being what you expect them to be in various capacities. Not, you know, to the point that, you know, it turns out if arrows start flying, you know, a person maybe that you didn't like before turns out to be a good person to have by your side. And you know, and conversely, some people turn out to not be good people to have by your side. And that was kind of, you know, we knew we wanted to play a little bit with that, with, you know, who the actual animals were. Yeah,
and just speaking aesthetically, you know, going into it, like Simon had written the specific animals in the script, you know, but I was like, you know, we actually tried out a lot of different things before we settled on the ones that we did because, you know, I was still like, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not, you know, if we'll find the right animal mask. So we even had like our production team or the art team, like they created a whole bunch of different style masks, you know, out of different things. And but ultimately what we ended up doing was we found like some very simple masks, and we kind of took the Halloween approach, you know, where you take something that kind of exists and then you convert it in a very simple way, just like they did with the William Shatner mask, you know.
Yeah, with Michael Myers.
And that just felt like that. I mean, and it was weird. Like we tried so many things, and then it honestly just ended up being like the most simple, straightforward approach because it was already there, and we just, you know.
Yeah, but in this.
But I mean, even though like you know, you'll see like you know different animal masks being passed around and stuff like that. You know, like you know, people have created a bunch of ones that look like it, but the actual ones, if you really look at it, there's 30 different layers of paint on it. You know, It has like a slightly bluish more tint to it. They're very complex looking. I think Simon's the only one that I know that actually was able to like keep a mask after the film. But
because most of them were destroyed.
we actually like you'd be surprised how like detailed they are and how many camera tests we had to do to make sure that you know we get the right color that would like glow just correctly
under all the lighting and stuff. But in the script, it was always, you know, a tiger, a lamb, a fox. You know, like the animals that are listed.
Although, you know, I always like kind of regretted not like changing the tiger and the fox up a little bit because sometimes they look kind of similar in some of the light. You know,
should have done a giraffe.
I know.
Yeah. But the symbolism of that's so complex.
Well, now the giraffe would have looked too much like the lamb. So,
you know, maybe.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Now there was a song that keeps on repeating practically throughout. What's the background of that song, and what, you guys just like it or something?
No, I mean, like Simon had written that there was a song repeating in the script, you know, and instantly, like in our first discussions, I felt like that it needed to be basically a classic rock song, but a classic rock song that, you know, felt familiar, but like you'd never heard before,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very tall order, as you can imagine, you know. And I knew I wanted it to be late 70s, early 80s era, you know. So I had a very specific idea of the type of song I wanted, but I didn't know the song itself. So, you know, we looked at a whole bunch of different things like Swedish music and German music and all kinds of different stuff. And ultimately, I asked my French music, and I asked my composer friend Con McKinnon to just, because he's got just a huge database in his mind of just all kinds of different, you know, rock songs and stuff. And so I just asked him to compile me a list of like 10 songs that might work in that kind of respect, you know, giving him that description. And one of the first ones that I listened to was that Dwight Twilley song that's in the film. And I was over at Simon's house. And I played it the first time through, and I called Simon in the other room because I was sleeping on his couch at the time because I was completely broke. And so Simon comes in there, and I play the song for him, and instantly we were both kind of like, I think this is it, yeah. And that song became sort of like the almost like the theme of the entire movie, like, you know, like I created all those scenes around that song. We, you know, went to set every day listening to that song. It was played on the set, you know, during every day, like the rap party, it was the song that we played, you know. But we actually didn't know if we could actually get the song during the making, so it was kind of scary because we committed so much to it, but we didn't know necessarily, and I'll let you explain the rest of that.
Yeah, I mean, we had no like music licensing budget for this film, so you know, so at a certain point, I was able to reach out directly to the artist Dwight Twilley and his wife Jan Twilley, you know, who now like are like kind of retired. Well, they're actually now he's doing music and touring again, but they were living in Oklahoma. And I like emailed them, and they called me at like 3 a.m. and were playing me their music over the phone, and you know, like, and I was like, you know, but we really want like that one track, Looking for the Magic. And at a certain point, she shouted at me like, you went looking for the magic, but you can't afford the fucking magic. And because we couldn't, and it was like, and I came to set the next day and was like super bummed out. I was like, Adam and our DP Andrew, I like took them aside. I was like, guys, Dwight Twilley's wife yelled at me that we can't afford the fucking magic, and they were like, we were so sad about it. But then our producer Keith Calder, you know, he's got a couple ties to the music industry, and I think you know, when we started editing the movie together, and Adam and I both made it really clear that we wanted this one track, and we didn't care if like the publishing was owned by Universal. He was able to make it happen. So you know, ultimately, it's kind of a weird.
Yeah, now we're kind of friends. Like we still never met Dwight, but he contacts us on Facebook quite a bit.
Yeah, him and his wife. Yeah, they're Facebook friends. They're super excited to see the film.
Yeah.
And he posted on Facebook recently that he started touring again and played a show in like I think Oklahoma City, and the audience like kept demanding Looking for the Magic, and he hadn't trained his new tour band to play it yet. So he's working on that, and I'd like to think that might be because of our film, but I don't know. Either that, or it's just because it's such a great song.
Well, I thank you guys for very much of your time. I'll admit it. The masks are creepy. The repeated song is creepy. Everything's creepy. The audiences will actually enjoy it.
Oh,
so I appreciate it with your time.
Good to see you again.